Gormagad Cahirloch, August Gormagad Ara. Thank you for bringing the bill, Minister. I understand it's a technical bill and it transfers all functions for the national gas infrastructure from Ervia to a new publicly owned Gas Networks Ireland. So with the transfer of functions, there will be some changes, and specifically the inclusion of the Minister for Environment, Climate and Communications and the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform as minority stakeholders with 5% of the shares each, while the Minister for Housing, Local Government and Heritage will maintain 90% of the shares. I think this is to be welcomed, Minister, but my sense is that it should go further simply because of the significant impact of burning gas on our climate objectives. And I believe it's right that the Minister for the Environment, Climate and Communications should have a greater stake than the 5% granted in the bill. And Minister, you might, in your closing remarks, or perhaps in writing later, you might clarify why 5%, why not 10, 20, 30%? And I'm just wondering, is there a particular reason that the Minister for Environment of the day, whoever that may be, doesn't have that stronger voice with respect to GNI? I think the bill, Minister, may be missing an opportunity to ensure that our national provider of gas, GNI, Gas Networks Ireland, is aligned with the national climate objectives and our legally binding carbon budgets. In this bill, we must ensure that the functions of GNI are updated and aligned with government's decarbonisation objectives, specifically those functions of the company that relate to expanding the gas grid, providing new gas connections and increasing the demand for gas across industry, commercial and the residential sector. And within the energy sector, the ability to meet our ambitious climate targets will be determined in part by the uptake of renewable energy and the retrofit of buildings, but ultimately greenhouse gas emissions will decrease only if we can phase out the use of fossil fuels to power our lives. Research on the sectoral carbon budgets conducted by UCC back in 2020 revealed that in order to meet our carbon budgets by 2040, significant reductions in gas demand are needed compared to the 2020 levels. So a 93% reduction in the power sector, 85% in the residential sector and 67% in enterprise. Gas Network Ireland's most recent 5-year revenue proposal, which underwent a CRU consultation last month, outlines their plans, which if implemented, I believe, may not align with the government's emissions reduction commitments and could potentially compete with the government's initiatives such as housing retrofits, rollout of heat pumps, district heating projects and the broader goal of reducing reliance on fossil fuels. And for context, Minister, in the years from 2016 to 2020, Gas Networks Ireland connected 50,000 new customers to the gas grid. And over the coming 5 years, GNI forecasted 17,000 new gas connections, including connecting 14,000 existing houses to the gas grid, 600 new houses, 36 apartment blocks and 2,600 industrial and commercial units. And in its development plan from 2021, GNI notes that the company is actively promoting natural gas systems to builders and developers for new housing. They're also targeting the 300,000 homes currently serviced by oil and seeking to switch them to gas. So this is locking in gas use in homes right across Ireland, new homes for that matter, for decades to come, when in fact we need to be phasing it out. The plan, GNI's plan, is not blind to government policy. In fact, it clearly recognises that the policy of government is to electrify heat in domestic buildings, but the plan asserts a position that decarbonising heat through continued connection to the gas grid is a better way. And Minister, I think all of us in the House will rightly see this as madness. It really is. And for a company that is owned by the state to disregard government policy, to recognise it first and then disregard it, in my view, is unacceptable. Ireland's plans for the decarbonisation of residential heating are outlined in our Climate Action Plan. They are hugely ambitious. By the end of the decade, we need 2.5 terawatt hours of district heating, which will serve approximately 125,000 homes and 11,500 commercial and public sector connections. And 0.7 terawatt hours of heat from renewable gases. We need 45,000 existing dwellings to switch to using heat pumps for domestic heating by 2025 and 400,000 homes to switch by 2030. And to deliver this, we need all arms of the state pulling together. We are all well aware of the benefits to our energy security and our energy independence that will arise as our energy system moves away from fossil fuels towards renewable energy. Minister, finally, I am seeking clarification on whether Gas Networks Ireland will be a public body and therefore a relevant body under the Climate Change and Low Carbon Development Act. Via up to this bill was specifically exempt from public body status, and I would like to see Gas Networks Ireland as a public body subject to the public sector climate action mandate and the provisions of the Climate Action and Low Carbon Development Act. Good.